Hello and welcome back to Design. Today we're visiting our site in order to speak to a project manager. He's going to give us some of his insights on what do they do, why do we need them, and how can they be beneficial to homeowners. Stay tuned with us and let's check this out. We're here today with Engineer Abdullah. We're going to discover more about project management and client representative. Hi, Abdullah.
Hello.
Thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you. Would you like to tell us a little bit about what do you do exactly?
I am a construction project manager. What I do is, of course, I start with the client before construction, since in the design phase, knowing his requirement, and of course, helping him to reach to live in his villa in the end.
All right. So you're the project manager who oversees the project, right? Can you tell us more exactly what does that mean? Like, what is your scope of work?
Of course. First of all, I can say that I'm the link between the site and the office, the consultancy. During my work, I take care of each phase, the preparation for each phase. For example, before construction, I have to know the client requirements, what are the services that he needs in the site and in his house, and I prepare for it by signing him up with those contractors and preparing for each contractor the plans he needs and everything he needs for actually before the construction.
From what I understood from you, you work with clients that come through your design firm only. Is that a must, or can the project manager also be coming from a separate entity, for example?
Of course he can, but it's preferable to have your project manager from the same consultancy. As a project manager, being included in the design phase is really important because I actually know each area how it's going to be used by the client. For example, in this villa, we have a reception room. I know this will include occasions, celebrations. So it's like it needs some low voltage preparation.
Low voltage?
Low voltage.
Can you tell us, because not everybody I assume knows what that is. Do you want to tell us what it is?
Low voltage discipline is a huge discipline. It includes, let's start with the basic ones that we all know. Speakers, internet, satellites, intercom, telephones, and of course home automation.
Right. That's
smart,
the new
smart
big
home
thing, right?
solutions,
Smart homes,
exactly.
yeah.
Now in 2024, everyone can control his house with an application on his phone or on his tablet, controlling temperature, many features. You know, if we're gonna talk about it, we'll need a whole episode.
But what you're saying, right, is that low voltage is something that should be taken into consideration in an early stage, but it cannot be an afterthought.
Of course, it's really important to prepare for it during the skeleton phase while we are working in construction. Because, for example, if you have smart home solution, you need a control panel that should be actually prepared for. You need to choose the right location. You need to prepare for it during the block work where it's going to be. You don't want to see it also, but in the same time, it should be accessible. And of course, you know, like you have some people, like let's say, since we are talking about this scale of projects, villas, most of our clients, this is their first experience with construction. So some people will think, okay, I have an electrical contractor. I'll tell him to prepare for the smart solutions I want. But you need a specialized company to give you those solutions, and based on those solutions, you need the electrical contractor to prepare for it. And this is my duty, of course. As a project manager, I need to have a variety of skills and background in each discipline too, because I'm dealing with mechanical engineers, AC, ventilation, electromechanical work with pools and and waterfalls, and also you have to have like you need the background for all the disciplines that we are going to use in the site. But as you know, like project manager is not a doer. He has a team, so he needs to choose his team carefully and to direct them to the right point.
So a project manager is really a contingency plan, we can say, right? What are the unexpected challenges that you may face during, let's say, a project, and what are the actions you can take for these things?
First of all, as a project manager, as you mentioned before, I always have to be prepared with alternatives. If plan A is not working, we have plan B. In construction, we work in two paths: predictive and waterfall. Like predictive waterfall or like agile, you know.
Oh yeah.
So when we are like some stuff that are, for example, in the construction elements, this are not changed. It's always the same. But other elements as client requirement, we always try to make it based on, so if plan A is not going, we have plan B, as I told you. And in the same time, cost should be taken into account, time and quality. So all those, and the most important thing for the project manager is to make the client prepared for
catastrophes.
Exactly, to have an expectation, the right expectation of what he's going to have in the future.
So how do you meet their expectations? Because as like any clients we often encounter in this business, they come in with so many high expectations and the reality can be really different. How do you mitigate this?
First of all, let's say me as a project manager, I usually, when I work for my consultancy, I'm provided with renders, I'm provided with plans. So through those plans and renders, I try to reach to make the project reach to the render, to be the same as the render, and meet the expectation of the client. But in the same time, I have to be clear with the client about what he's going to have in the future, so he's not shocked in the future with anything.
Yeah, we have to kind of get them ready for reality.
Exactly.
So that was a quick introduction to project management. Next, we're going to be talking about the difference between project management and client representative. So earlier we spoke about the scope of work a project manager does. Now, let's find out more about the different titles. Abdullah, we often hear client representative, site supervision, site engineer, supervisor. Can you just tell us in general what are the differences between these?
A small summary about it. Site engineers usually are hired by the contractors to follow up with work. You have, of course, the supervisor engineer by the consultancy, who is following up the skeleton work, and you have the project manager, and the client representative. Now, in our scale, villas and houses, client representative mostly does the same job as the project manager. So shortly, this is like the small
Okay.
differences between them.
So mega projects, client representative and project manager are totally different.
Totally different.
Small scale, same, not
Yeah, exactly, almost. Yeah, yeah.
So as a client representative or a project manager, earlier you mentioned to us the scenario of this water feature in the house. You mentioned that it wasn't included in the drawings, but because you were involved in the design, you knew how to coordinate it with the contractor. Can you tell us more on these kind of scenarios?
The designer, he provides you with the renders, with the dimension of this waterfall, how it's going to look like.
Okay.
Now we need to go to the next phase, to actually the water element contractors, who will give us shop drawing, showing us the electromechanical work, how it's going to be, where is the mechanical room will be. And me as a project manager, I need to coordinate between my design and his electromechanical work. Also, this mechanical room needs ventilation. But in the same time, I have a design, I have a sitting area. I don't want my pipes to be shown above the surface. I don't want my mechanical room to be shown. I want, this is what we talked about also, client expectation. So I want to meet client expectation. That's why I have to coordinate this earlier before we start in the, because you know, like ventilation needs piping work, electromechanical work needs piping work, but I need to keep also the artwork that we did during the design.
The aesthetics has to stay
to be
as
the same.
per the design.
Exactly. I don't want to also
Right.
interrupt my
No,
design.
of course not, because that's our priority. So what I've understood from what you said, basically each subcontractor that comes, their own equipment can vary in sizes and specifications, which is why dealing with this on-site is a necessity, and client owners may not know how to handle it. Therefore, your role is...
You need someone with experience and background in those services who will actually coordinate between your design and the shop drawing we receive from the contractors. For example, we talked earlier about the water element, waterfall, pools, any water elements. You have also the AC, you have an interior design.
Oh, since you mentioned interior design, many clients often start construction prior to finishing their interior design.
Yes.
And from experience, I understand that this isn't exactly ideal. Can you tell us what happens in this scenario?
First of all, you know, during my construction work, I have other services like electrical work, plumbing work, other services. Those are actually will be, if I have the interior design, I know where is how big is the, for example, the sink counters. I know the location of the bed, so based on that, I actually can coordinate with electric works. Where are the sockets?
Where will the lights be?
Yeah, where are the switches?
Otherwise, ergonomic designs, basically.
Exactly.
To make sure,
Otherwise, it will be random.
You mentioned interior design, and I feel like it's essential for us to mention what happens in scenarios where people start construction, start their design, but without an interior design.
First of all, as a project manager, having an interior design makes my work easier because I know what this area is used for. I know the location of the furniture. I can coordinate better between different services. For example, if I know where is the bed, I know where are the electric sockets gonna be. It's not gonna be random. I know the shape of how the ceiling is going to be. Based on that, I can coordinate with the AC company. How are the openings going to be? Which system am I going to use? Side register, normal diffuser, hidden. So having an interior design is really important. It's even like important during the plastering. For example, I have a, let's say, hidden light, I have a strip light.
It could really save a lot of money for owners because if, let's say, you do your interior design, you've done your electrical work done, then you kind of have to revert back and change things, which is more expensive to do, right?
Exactly. Anything, when you do something from scratch, it's easier. But when you have to rebuild or...
And you have to deal with the contractors in these scenarios.
Exactly, yes.
Since we're talking about contractors, what are the biggest challenges you have faced when dealing with contractors?
Communication. You need to.
Yeah,
you need to know their language. One.
Yeah.
You need to understand how to communicate with the different contractors. You, as a project manager, you need to have a strict schedule for each project. You need also to provide each contractor with the right plans in the right phase, and in the same time to explain what is not clear And
But they are capable of reading floor plans and elevations and these things,
of
right?
course, yeah, they
Okay.
can, but at the same time, depends. Yeah, some contractors they hire an engineer to be following up. Some contractors, you have to go with the foreman and exactly read for him what type of elevations do you
Yeah,
have,
explain the
especially
floor
the
plans.
interior designs.
And many of them, like many companies, produce work that is in English, and then you get contractors that don't speak it, so you have to be there like, this is that and that.
This is the scale we are working on when we talk about villas and houses. So you expect such things usually, and having a project manager is a plus because you have someone who is representing you and who is actually following your work, coordinating between every contractor, of course, to reach the goal in the end. Time, manage time, quality, and cost.
So many homeowners don't really see the benefit of a project manager, and it could be not, it doesn't have to be that. It could be that they can't afford it, and they believe doing it on their own could be like better for them or financial. What do we say to them?
I'm gonna say that actually, even financially, it's not gonna be better. You're gonna lose a lot of time. You're gonna lose money, and you're gonna lose some of your health. That's also
For sure, they're gonna go
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. You're gonna lose
You're gonna
some.
deal
You're
with
gonna
the
lose some
contractor
hair
yourself.
if you have. You're gonna.
Yeah, good luck.
So, yeah, exactly. So you need, as we said in the beginning of this show, like we mentioned that construction is a complex,
Right.
multidiscipline project, and you are dealing with different
Yeah.
contractors,
You
and
didn't
you need.
study for 5 years, work for five, and then you know nothing.
Yeah, exactly. You need someone to coordinate. Like if we're giving a small example, this villa that we are in, as you can see, we have one of the exterior is actually facing the street. I know that it's actually gonna be like the sun is gonna be directed to this place. So I choose the right aluminum profile for this. I choose how many milli it's going to be, what type of glass. From my experience, I know that how to save budget for the client, not the neighbor side. I don't need this much thickness from the aluminum, so we can save money on this and
So
have
hire
the
Abdallah.
quality. Exactly.
Thank you so much. This has been very insightful, and I hope you take this into consideration when you decide to whether you want to do this on your own or preferably not. Thank you for now.
Architecture lighting design is the design of a lighting solution for your project. So depending on what your project is, it kind of makes and breaks the area, and it beautifies the architecture that you already have in your house. So the key principles are you have the intensity, you have the color temperature, you've got the control and the distribution of lighting and how it impacts the space that we're working on. And other than that, you also have the layers and types of lighting that you have to work with. So you have your accent lighting, you have the task lighting, and then you have the ambient lighting. So that's how you kind of have to like take it into account. The ambient light is where pretty much just the general lighting that you have. And then the accent lighting accents your art, it accents whatever architectural hierarchy that you have. And then the task lighting is for your work, especially if you're doing desk area or if you're doing kitchen area. So that is kind of task lighting. And we'll talk about it more in depth when we get there. bringing in a lighting designer for your project would entail mostly a floor plan, seeing a complete floor plan, a furniture layout, and if you actually checked, if you picked your interior design and how it is. So when a lighting designer comes into your project, he's going to do a complete study of the daylight, where the sun is coming in, so we could take that into account in your space. And then that's when we kind of add electrical lighting into that space as well. So with controls and with shades, we can minimize and maximize the daylight coming into the project. And to be honest, like with daylight, I mean, it brings life into your project. So I recommend opening up the windows and bringing in daylight more than electrical light. And then when we go at night, we can switch that kind of ambiance from that happy daylight area to a more private night scheme, and that's what we can do in the lighting design. So other than seeing your floor plan and the interior furniture layout, we would actually 3D model the entire project and do lighting calculations, especially the places that where the guests arrive. A lot of people hire an interior designer and completely forget about the lighting design and the aspect of it. I just want to kind of remind you that it's really, really important to kind of work as a lighting designer, work with the interior design to bring your house to life. Why do we want to hire a lighting designer? Because hiring one is pretty expensive. You're already hiring an interior designer, but hiring a lighting designer will actually enhance the interior designer's vision and your vision at the overall. Because we would be calculating the entire project, and that's how we kind of have etiquette lighting for each space. Because once you walk into a house, you look up the ceiling and it's just like a Swiss cheese of a ceiling. And that's what you want to kind of avoid. You want to put lighting in specific areas that is actually studied. And like, why do we want to put that lighting here? You know, you want to have like a reading nook that you want to highlight. You want to have like a beautiful chandelier on top of your dining area. That's why you'd hire a lighting designer, because they would consult you on which lighting types and controls and bulbs and appearance that you want to actually achieve in your space to kind of enhance the entire space, because you just don't want to put lighting where it's not needed. And to be honest, it gets more expensive as you kind of bulk up of the lighting itself. So we work with your with your budget, we work with the project that you have to kind of bring in everything together. So let's dig deep into the technicalities a little bit and the types of lights that we can offer for your projects, your houses, and even your offices. So we have to kind of think about the intensity of the light. We don't want to go into like, we don't want it to be super bright. So we have to take into consideration the lumens and the foot candles of the light itself. And that what kind of qualifies the intensity of the light itself. And then you also have the color temperature, which goes from 2,500 all the way to 6,000. So the lower the number, the warmer it is, and the higher the number, the colder it is. So of course, for hospitals, for dentist areas, for offices, you kind of want to go up with like 4,000, 3,500, 4,000. And then for the houses, you kind of want to go from 2,500 till 3,000. These are the ranges for the residential, but of course it kind of depends on your project and what you kind of need to achieve the design that you want to have. And then other than that, we also have the controls. Do you want it to be switched on and off? Do you want it to have that dimming effect? Do you want it to kind of go from 0 to 10 volt? That kind of also depends on the intensity of the light. Other than that, you kind of also have to understand, is the light symmetrical or is it asymmetrical? Because if you're kind of wanting to do like the accent walls, you would have to go with an asymmetrical kind of lighting, or you can go with a symmetrical kind of lighting, but it has to have like that tilt where you can tilt it on the desired art that you want to illuminate. An accent wall is the wall that you want to highlight if it has art on the wall, or just a structure that you want to highlight, or an architectural feature within the house that you kind of want to highlight. So there are different types of light that you can go for depending on the application that we have. We'll talk about the types of light that you can use for your projects and how it can achieve the goal that you want to achieve. So there are recessed lights, surface lights. So these you want to use them for your ambient lighting, but you want to layer those with different things, like let's say a pendant light or a chandelier. The pendant, you can use it right next to your bed as lights your side table, or you could do it a couple next to each other on a dining table, or just a place that you kind of want to access. Maybe a reading nook, you can actually use a pendant in that area as well. So it's very versatile and you can use it in many spaces. You've got the track lights, where it has like a magnetic kind of track that goes into the wall with light coming out of it, which is like a spotlight or a downlight. You can add so many different features with that magnetic strip light. I don't recommend using it in the house. These applications are more for groceries, shops, clothing, jewelry. It benefits that area as well, because in a residential, unless the design that you're going for works with track lights, I recommend going with that. But for me, I don't like that spotlights just randomly in an area, or while you're sitting down in a living room, it could literally just be in your eyes. So I also recommend using anti-glare and honeycomb accessory on top of your lighting, so it doesn't kind of go into your eyes while you're sitting, because it's not a comfortable feeling, especially in your house. Also, I recommend using direct and indirect lighting throughout the entirety of the house, and having that kind of versatility in the design as well, because that's when you can have you can highlight areas and have shadow in areas. So I recommend kind of using hidden indirect lighting. When you walk in, you kind of don't want to see where the lighting is, you just want to see it lit. So that's why, again, why as a lighting designer, we want to come in and help you achieve that in your projects. Let's talk about some tips and tricks that you can use right now without hiring a lighting designer. I can use it for your project right now. You can go with less is more. I use this motto everything in my life. Less is more. It's good to add more light than to take away. I would recommend adding table lamps and floor lamps versus overhead lighting if you're trying to light your bedroom or a private living room. I would also recommend using under cabinet lighting for the kitchen, because overhead lighting for the kitchen alone will not achieve the lighting that you need. Also, you want to kind of control the light one by one and not just the entirety of the switch. That comes with the control, of course. But if you can actually control the light with the zones, that would work a lot. There is one specific light that I would recommend to not use at all. It's very invasive and uncomfortable for the eyes. I definitely don't recommend using this at all. I would recommend using this type of lighting where it has an anti-glare, and even when you're sitting right underneath it, you really can't see the light source itself. One last tip before we go. I definitely recommend bringing in the lighting and the electrical in the middle of your construction and your project, and don't wait until the end to kind of bring in lighting, because lighting makes and breaks the entire project, and we would love to enhance that your house and the space that you're going to be living in.